And thinking, who is this guy? Dave Smith Mbe. Just stick him into a search engine and read his blog because it's extraordinary.
What it's like to sit on an anaesthetic table, close your eyes and never know if you're ever going to open them again. And that's pretty scary. It makes you see life through a completely different set of eyes. I walk around now thinking, wow, if I wasn't fit and healthy, I would potentially be dead.
I can't control this feeling. Something's happening inside.
It was going to grow and crush his spinal cord, so he would have to have some form of surgery to decompress the cord, or he would have become paralyzed. Now, in terms of the paralysis for him, the diaphragm is innervated, the breathing muscles are innervated by the C5 nerve root. So the other problem was that he would stop breathing. He would have required ventilation or some sort of lung assist system to be able to breathe. So that was the other thing that he was looking at, this horrible combination of not only being paralyzed, but also not being able to breathe. Oh yes, no, I think he could have died directly and indirectly from this, because as soon as your body becomes paralyzed, then you run into all sorts of problems.
I've just pooed all over the nurse. I'm sure she's grateful. But he was right, because I could still see, I could still talk, and I could still hear, and I had great friends. So he said to me every morning, Dave, he says, wake up, set an intention, and for that day, say 3 things you're grateful for. He says, it'll change your life.
I started to develop real problems talking, and my legs started to drag as I was trying to walk. I just didn't look really well, and I was really panicking my mum, and I sort of lost all the functions of my body really, and then I woke up one morning completely paralysed from the neck down, bar my right arm.
A second operation removed a blood clot and feeling returned, but then came the long process of rehabilitation. At first, his only aim was to walk again, but the pace of recovery surprised even those who knew him best.
The time period to him wasn't a problem. His focus was there all the time, so it was going to take 6 months, a year and a half. He knew he was going to do it, and to be honest, he turned it round within a year. So, I mean, incredible.
All roads lead to London. From beautiful Bled to goodbye.
Outstanding, right from the first stroke. Regain the World Championship title.
I like challenging myself mentally and physically and see how hard I can push, and just seeing it as a challenge, and I think if you perceive it as a positive, then you react in a positive way.
Ladies and gentlemen, I started the day by saying we had a remarkable young man joining us, and I genuinely, having sat there, I think that is a massive understatement on my behalf. That was just incredible.
We have, and there's been moments where I've struggled, and it's been quite hard to keep going and be in pain, but then you think, right, at home games comes round once in a lifetime, and it's an experience that I certainly don't want to miss out on, and that always kept me going.
For the bronze, but it's going to be Great Britain who take gold at Eton Dorney finally. So many hopes for their success so far. Finally, they have the gold that they were craving. World champions a year ago, Paralympic champions this year. It is gold to Great Britain and the team of Ralph, Riche, Smith, Rowe and Van den Broek. Exhaustion.
What I learned through that was you might not be able to do the physical training, but you can do the mental side of things. And when I woke up in ITU and couldn't move, I just started training mentally with my mind. I went through all the rowing sessions every morning. When the guys were going in the water, I was lying in a hospital bed, but I made sure I was going in the water in my head, and that's what speeded my recovery up.
He could have, if that blood clot had gone on and compressed his spinal cord and stopped him breathing, that could have been the end of David's life at that point, yes. I think he's a very fit, strong young man, and that was heavily in his favour. I think that people who weren't as fit and strong as him may have succumbed to either of those procedures, but his chances of survival were much greater because of his immense fitness. He was a remarkable individual right from the off. You get some people who are confronted by these challenges and they just stop. They go, this is too much. I can't face the challenge, the pain, the drive that I'll need to get back. But what was remarkable about David is that within hours of this happening in recovery, you could see he was already working out how he was going to recover from this and what the future held for him. And he was already beginning to work things out in terms of days and weeks ahead. So his questions were not about so much what has happened and why. His attitude was, what will I be able to do in 2 months' time? And we were talking about that within days of the second operation. So he was already planning for that, which is a remarkable psychology. It's a real drive.
I think, you know, in any sport you're pushing yourself mentally to the limits and physically, and you think you've just got nothing else to give, but there's always that little bit, there's always something else there.
Just to mention for Dave Smith, who I know you know well, Chris, incredibly talented, multi-talented sportsman who was part of the British squad for karate, then for bobsleigh, then for Paralympic rowing, and he's been recovering from a really serious operation.
Yes, we're relieved to hear that he's out of surgery now and he has had the operation. He's got a long way to go. He's paralysed on the left-hand side of his body, but hopefully he'll regain full function over the coming weeks. But it was a scary time for all his family, friends, teammates, and he's an inspiration to so many of us. He never ever complains about the situation he's in.